we're here in Las Vegas. We're here together. We've come together as SOLARCON. We're here to have a conversation about the state of the solar industry. And I want to tell you, I was with my partner Val and my leader of partnerships, vice president of partnerships, Chase Anderson. We were in this Joe Rogan style podcast over on another stage, and we tackled the question, is solar dead? Is solar dead? And I will tell you, and this is the spoiler alert, this slide will answer to you what I think is the answer to the question, is solar dead? I believe that today, this SOLARCON, this month, this quarter, is the beginning, which has to give acknowledgement that yes, something is dead. What's dead? Solar Gold Rush 1.0 is dead. Boom, put it to rest, rest in peace. I think it's been dead for about a year and a half. And we're about to embark on what I believe is the Solar Gold Rush 2.0. Are you with me? Are you ready for that? Can we manifest that and make that happen? We're gonna have the best 5 years in solar sales anyone's ever seen. But I have to be honest with you, as we went through the period that we've gone through over the last, COVID hit, tried to bounce back, all sorts of things. But the real thing that happened, there was a conversation on this stage last night about what caused solar sales to drop. We all know what caused solar sales to drop, 30, 40, 50%. And that was the fact that inflation caused interest rates to go up, 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 up. I mean, we saw it going up like over and over and over and over again, and all of a sudden, we're not out knocking on doors. Well, we are out knocking on doors saying, hey, you should go solar. Why should we go solar? Because it's cheaper. And then we come back with a proposal with, instead of 0.99 interest rates, 6.99 interest rates. And that proposal didn't look a whole lot cheaper. And that's why sales dropped 50%. I would say primarily because of bad leadership, bad sales training. If you think, which I heard from this stage yesterday, I couldn't believe it, a leader in the sales industry explaining to the sharks, basically what we do is sell savings. It's thinking that's what we do that caused a 50% drop in sales. That's not what we do. What we help people do is make a decision that's going to create a wealth building exercise, a wealth building system that's going to make their family dramatically better off and help them avoid an existential threat. That's what we're doing here, and that's what we get paid for. But there's a trick to it. Solar Gold Rush 2.0 is not coming unless we all make a decision to do what's needed. And for that, leadership is required. It ain't going to be the wild, wild west. But I got news for you. What we have coming is going to be a big thing. As we go through this talk, I want each and every one of you to take a couple seconds and up your social media game. You are the content. You're at SOLARCON. You're listening to this MOD guy talk about the future, talking about Solar Gold Rush. I want you to take a 10, 15-second video during this. I recommend you maybe take one or two. I want you to post it. And then I'm going to give away something I've never given away, which is a one-on-one session with MOD to help you take your sales game to the next level. You can't buy that. It ain't offered, but you can win it by getting the social media, getting it posted. By the way, are we live on Instagram? Dude, we're not in this room with a couple hundred folks. The entire solar industry knows what we're doing here from Las Vegas, and we're here talking about our future in the solar industry, so I'm excited about doing that. All right, well, here's the good news, guys. Why do I think that we are at the dawn of a new golden age, the dawn of a Solar Gold Rush 2.0? And that's for many, many, many factors. We have not seen the end of bumps in the road. The bumps in the road will continue to come. But the thing that caused solar to become so difficult is now going the other direction. We've seen the Federal Reserve lower interest rates, more lower interest rates I think will come. But it doesn't matter what the economy does. It doesn't matter what the world does. It doesn't matter what the President of the United States does with this tariff in that country and all that stuff. The proposition that we have for the homeowner is exactly the same every single time. We're just going to get better and better at using, those are just circumstances on the ground. We're going to get better and better and better at using the circumstances on the ground to help homeowners understand that it's not just in their interest, but that it's urgent, that it's compelling, and actually an existential threat if they don't go solar today. That's what we get paid for. That's what we do. And the economy is we're coming out of what was a horrific, COVID, interest rates, inflation, everything hitting at the same time. We still got stuff to deal with, all kinds of stuff, but we're going to get through that, and we're going to do very, very, very well. So, when we knock on doors, we have to learn that the word no is not a rejection, it's a result. And it's in maturing in our sales process that we are able to disassociate what most normal humans associate with, get off my lawn, no, you're ugly. And that's to feel just completely decimated by rejection. If you can't figure out how to do that, you're going to really struggle. That's one of the things we talk about every day. But in addition to learning that most of our results are going to be no, which we're happy about, by the way, because that's why we get paid a lot of money. Because most normal humans can't deal with that frequency of rejection. And that's why we get paid the money, that's why we embrace the no. But if you're out knocking on doors, and you're doing what most of the D2D industry is doing, which came out of kind of the Utah spray painting your address on the curb, and then pest control, and then alarm, and then TV. Guys, we're not selling bug spray. After selling solar in 84 and 85, I left, and for 25 years, I sold $500,000 stuff, $5 million stuff to CEOs of big corporations. If you're knocking on a door talking about the neighbor's puppies and bandwagoning and telling them, my job is super simple, they're going to look at you and go, I got to get this person off my door. It'll be the only thought in their head. And you've got to figure out a way to convey ideas that are going to cause an interruption in their thought. How fast can I get this kid, this guy, this woman off my door without me feeling like a complete jerk? Once in 10 years, I had the guy open the door, saw I was a salesman, and he closed it like he hung up on a telemarketer. I'm like, what just happened? I knocked on the door. I go, did you know someone was here? Am I invisible? He goes, no, you're selling something. He closed it again. I'm like, oh, I guess I should leave. I'm going to take that as a no. I get paid for no. Most of the time they see you and they think, how the hell do I get rid of this guy? And you've got to say something to interrupt that thought and put a different idea in their head. By the way, I went on and on about that idea. I don't think I finished it. I want someone here in this audience to get the idea that they're going to go from 300 or 400 kilowatts to 1 million watts of solar. I want that to have happened here. I want somebody who sold 1 million watts of solar to look at Art and say, hey, if that guy can sell 2 million watts of solar, probably anyone can do it. And I'm here to attest that that's true. Just kidding, Art. You're my man. But the idea that we've got to get out of their head is, how do I get rid of that guy? And then what we're talking about every morning is how to interrupt that thought. And you know how I do that. I say, hey, listen, I got to go. Now you can stop trying to get rid of me. I'm getting rid of me, right? But then you got about 5 or 6 seconds before you're going to say something where they go, what? What are you talking about? Yeah, dude, talking about something big. I'm not trying to spray paint your sidewalk. Like I'm an important person. I got an important thing to talk about. And let me tell you what I want to talk to you about. And this is always going to be something that they heard on TV in the last few days or weeks. And you're going to say it, and they're going to say, I just heard about that. Yeah, I just heard about that on TV. This is what I'm talking, and it changes all the time. Circumstances on the ground change. The urgency stack is getting out of control, but this is what I'm talking about now, and it works like a charm. Yeah, actually, we have you down as not interested in solar. No one's interested in solar. I don't know why you keep bringing that up. And that's not why I'm here. And by the way, I need to go. I only got a minute, so you need to pay attention. You're going to lose me in about 1 minute. So listen to what I have to say. The reason that I'm here is that the President of the United States has declared a national emergency. Did you hear what that was about? Did you hear what the national emergency was about? No, there's that word no. He actually declared a couple. One was about the border. This was the other one. Did you know what the other national emergency was about? No, you didn't know that? Let me tell you. The national emergency, which you just heard, is that we are currently generating half of the electricity that we need. And we need to double it unless we want to lose the AI race. We lose the AI race, this will be tantamount to losing the space race in the 1960s when JFK said, we will put a man on the moon by the end of the decade. What he didn't really say, but was implied was, or else. It was an existential threat. If Russia beats us and they get that technology, they will land on the moon, and then they will have an intercontinental ballistic missile that can place a warhead in the middle of New York City before we can place one in Moscow. This is an existential threat. We will not fail. We will get there. We will have a man on the moon. And guess what? The power of a deadline. You guys know I love deadlines. When did we put a man on the moon? That was in 1960. By the end of the decade, when did we get him there? 1969. That's the power of a deadline right there. And so what I would like to say to you, by the way, if the slide folks can put my next slide on one of the two monitors instead of both having the time, that would be super helpful. Thank you, Mike. Mike, if you heard that, super awesome. All right, so this is tantamount to the space race, and it's the AI race. If we lose this race, we will not be the dominant force on the planet. This is a big, big deal. And it's an urgent problem. And I just wanted to, this is Stargate. When Trump made that announcement, he brought together a group that's putting in $500 billion investment into Stargate. That's a $500 billion investment to build AI data centers in Texas. And that's going to take more power than most of the state of Texas takes right now. The energy requirements to do that are literally 3 gigawatts. That's the demand. The amount of terawatts that it will use over a period of time, and I can't really see it, but it's just bigger than you can possibly imagine. The amount of energy isn't overwhelming, it's daunting. They don't even know how they're going to do it. They think they have to build small nuclear reactors at the site to power AI data centers. A Google request takes 6 watts of power. A ChatGPT request takes 60. That's enough electricity to power your phone, to charge your phone up. Every single time somebody hits ChatGPT. The amount of power this is going to take is unfathomable. In my little market, we have 26 data centers to address AI. One of them is a $3 billion data center, and it's going to take, if someone can read it better than me, 5 gigawatts of power over time, mega terawatts of power. It's going to take the amount of power. It's going to take, can't see it there. It's going to take the same amount of power as 160,000 homes. There's a data center going in Buckeye, Arizona. Where's Danny? Danny, raise your hand. There's a data center going up in Buckeye, Arizona that's going to take the same amount of power as 400,000 homes. There's only 28,000 homes in Buckeye. This is not overwhelming, it's actually daunting. So I asked ChatGPT, how much power does that really take? So I used another 60 watts of power, and it told me all of the specifications, all the number of homes. It's going to take a daunting amount of power, massive amounts of provisioning is going to have to be made. This is something I did at SOLARCON last year, but I've played it again, and I love hearing it. Anybody know who that guy is? Mr. Joe Rogan? We pretended we were him when we did our podcast this week. And he was chopping this up with Tucker Carlson. This is what they were talking about with regard to AI. So this is what they're talking about, that the current electricity generation, the current grid, cannot handle what we're doing now. We started having brownouts in Phoenix last year. In California, this has been going on for years. When the supply generation cannot meet the demand, you have a brownout, which is why people want batteries. We're at about a 90% attach rate for batteries where I'm selling in Phoenix, and people are really glad to have this because they know this is coming. They know this is going to happen. And this is tantamount to, some vital resource that you need that is all of a sudden going to be not very available. And so everybody knows that when I'm on a door, I'm going to be talking and conveying ideas to a customer that are going to be the same posture that this show. Who knows who this guy is? Paul Revere. Look close at his face. This is the posture I want you to adopt at the door. It's Paul Revere, and Paul Revere had a message. He went door to door to door to door, and his message was, the British are coming. If somebody would have opened up their door and hear that message and said, oh, we're not interested in the British, he would have looked at them like they had two heads. This is urgent. This is compelling, and it's existential. If you look in the background, there's ships pulling into the harbor. Those are the British. By here, he meant here. The British are coming down the street. They're here. We see the electric increases happening every single day. This is the chart for electrical cost since the beginning of the 1980s. In the 70s, we were paying 2.5 cents for power, and then it went to 5 cents in the 80s, 10 cents in the 2000s, and then it's doubled again. So it's doubled and doubled and doubled and doubled again. And when I talk to a homeowner, hey, the British are coming, the issue is your electricity bill. You're telling me, oh, no problem, I got this, I got this. Yeah, but if you knew what I knew, you wouldn't be so smug about this, because what I know is your electric bill is going to double. How do I know your electricity bill is going to double? Because it already has, over and over and over and over again, and it's not going to stop. In fact, it's going to accelerate. If you look at that chart, you'll see that it's typically taken about 15 years to double. In the last couple of years, that last, over to the right side of that screen, you'll see there the slope of this line. This thing is going off the charts. That's the last 3 years where utility rates are screaming up. Meteoric increase in electric rates. That's what's going to cause them to go solar, whether they want to or not, whether they have any interest or not. If we can help them understand that today, they can do it now and avoid an existential threat that will take them out. Here's the good news, guys. This is a huge transition. Monstrous disruption. We heard the word disruption from this stage yesterday. The disruption that's taking place is that AI is requiring more electricity than we can possibly imagine. But wait, it's happening at the same time as electricity becoming free. We're not selling savings, we're selling free energy. Solar energy is free. Yeah, you got to pay for the equipment. Why wouldn't it make sense if you didn't have to pay for the equipment? How much does the equipment cost? Less. I can price it out for you right now. It costs less than if you don't do that. And so, but the good news is we're going through this transition. It's going to be very difficult, but the world that we're going to live in, which is going to have, who here saw the dog robot walking across? Hunter had the dog robot. Is Hunter here? So Hunter had the dog robot. That takes electricity. You plug it in. We're going to have armies of these robots, maybe legions of these robots. They all take electricity. But the bad news is those robots will be able to do much of the things that we do now, which are our jobs. The good news is with free electricity and all this AI, it's going to release us and free us. We're coming into a world that doesn't require dozens and dozens and dozens of hours of manual labor, just like we're not required to churn butter. Are we sad that we don't churn butter? We're not sad. We don't churn butter. And so where we're going is actually a really cool place. And we're going to help folks get there. That's our job, to help them see where we're going and help them follow the path to get there. Let's go. That's our job. That's what we get paid for. Something else talked about from this stage yesterday was a real problem, and it's a true problem. The problem discussed is true. Getting rid of the Inflation Reduction Act would take an act of Congress. Well, Congress is considering acting. They're considering altering, modifying, eliminating, cutting down the Inflation Reduction Act. Can anyone imagine a world where you're selling solar, where the tax credit is going down, going down, going down? Can anybody imagine that? Anybody sold solar for more than a few years? Every single year the tax credit was going down. The situation on the ground is always changing. It's always going to change. But what's not going to change is this world needs to be powered by free energy, and it's going to need more and more and more and more. And the cost of digging dead stuff out of the ground and lighting it on fire is going to become prohibitive. That's not going to change. We'll continue to adapt. But yes, the tax credits are on the chopping block. Should we be concerned about that? Yes, we should be concerned about that. I'd like each of you to take action right now. Take your phone out, capture that QSR code. It's going to bring up the form letter where you can fill in your information. You do it now or you can do it later. It's going to search and find your congressman and your 2 senators, and you're going to send him that letter telling about how important it is to defend American energy. We're going to take action. One thing we're not going to do is freak the fuck out about it. We're going to sell solar no matter what the situation on the ground. The demand for solar is going to grow and grow and grow and grow. Take action, do what you can, and then get out tomorrow, go knock some doors, and use this as the greatest urgency generator in the history of ever. And by the way, if you don't sign today, the equipment this is priced out is in the warehouse. When that equipment leaves the warehouse, which it's going to do like today, the equipment coming in the warehouse is going to have a tariff on it. This president guy is putting tariffs on everything. We're going to have to deal with that. Will we deal with that? Yeah, we're going to deal with that. So take action. Solar Gold Rush 2.0 is going to have very, very, very different hallmarks. Hallmark 1 was the wild, wild, wild west. Shoot from the hip. Sell them solar, figure out if it works later. Be in the solar business 3 weeks and be the expert who's showing a homeowner what the solution is they're getting for the next 25 years and if it's going to meet their needs. The leaders in this industry need to take responsibility for the fact that that was a terrible idea, it didn't work very well, and it's caused problems. And the problems is that there's been a whole lot of solar systems that have been sold that aren't doing the job the customer thought it was going to do. And collectively as an industry, we need to take responsibility for that. But yesterday, someone stood on this stage and pointed their finger at you. And they said, you are the problem. Somebody decided to take the fact that they didn't get to be a pastor and come up on this stage and ask you to repent. Come forward and repent today. Somebody tried to make it seem like the reason Congress is concerned about tax credits is because we're a bunch of greedy bastards. They are concerned, they have concerns, but what the concerns are is they want to lower taxes. They want to get their tax cut. They want to cut spending. Our current president thinks this is the Green New Scam, not the Green New Deal. Now, is the fact that we've sold 3 to 5 million solar systems to 3 to 5 million homeowners and probably caused, 150,000 terrible Yelp reviews, is that a bad thing? That's a bad thing, let me tell you. But let me tell you, none of those Yelp reviews are. I had a hardworking guy knock on my door. I had a really professional consultant show up at my house, answer all of my questions. I was kind of hesitant to take advantage of this opportunity. He helped me and facilitate me into a situation where I was confident, had the conviction to get this going onto my house. And it's here today, and I am experiencing the benefits of this solar system, and I'm glad about that. I have 15,000 customers, and none of them have called my office to ask how the hell in the world we could possibly think we're going to sell solar for $2.85 a watt. What the holy hell? But I see many, 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 many reviews online with customers who are screaming bloody murder, and they're not screaming bloody murder about the price. They saw the price. The price looked good. The price, what was the price? What was exactly the price? It was less. It was less than what they were paying. They're looking at the price, it's less. They're not screaming bloody murder because it was less or because of the price. They're screaming bloody murder because they didn't get what they paid for. And we are the solar industry. We need to take responsibility. If you're the guy out selling solar for $6 a watt, the guy yesterday here said, stop that. No, repeat that. Stop that. You don't need to sell solar for $6 a watt. If you're out selling some old lady 150% offset, when 100% will get rid of her $85 bill, sell her 100% offset. Don't sell her 150%. If you're out there showing solar to a guy who has a 5,000 square foot house, and you don't think he'll buy more than $139 a month worth of solar, and you tell him that's going to get rid of his electric bill, and you want that sale even though you have to say something that you know isn't true, that's not selling with conviction. That's being a con man. And I agree with the person who stood on this stage yesterday and talked about con man. You got to get honest. You got to sell with integrity. You got to sell a program that you know will deliver what you're showing to the customer. And the price is the last damn thing the customer's worried about. What they're worried about is paying $300 a month for power now, and you helping them get to $400 in the very first month when they thought it was going to be way less. And if you're part of that, then you're a con man, and I will share the sentiments of the person who stood on the stage yesterday and tell you to get the fuck out or change your ways. But the premise that someone who's been selling solar for 3 weeks and has knocked 100 doors today, had 30 conversations, and had the experience that would be tantamount to being told, no, I don't want to dance with you, you're ugly. That's what I tell recruits. Anybody want to make a lot of money in solar? Yeah. Oh, by the way, let me tell you what it's like. It's like you went to a dance, you asked 30 people to dance, and 27 of them said, no, man, you're way too ugly to dance with. But let me ask you a question. If you had that experience, and the first one said, yeah, I'll dance with you, and the second one said, yeah, you're not that ugly, I'll dance with you. 3 people said, okay, I'll take a look, let's dance. And one of them you kind of vibed with, you kind of enjoyed dancing with, you kind of smiled at each other, you got the phone numbers, and you're going to call them, the day after the dance. I think you'd be going home going, that was a pretty good dance. I'd like to go, if I don't meet with that person, I think I'd like to go back to another dance soon. But yesterday, the finger was pointed at this audience saying someone who's been knocking their brains out for 3 weeks doing that, and somehow when they find one, they find 10 of them and 7 of them don't sit. Only 3 of them show up for the meeting. 70% didn't show up for the goddamn meeting. 3 of them turned into a presentation. 1 of them was a one leg. 1 needed to think about it. 1 had an actual closer there and he signed up. And the kid makes $2,000-3,000. Is that kid the problem with the solar industry? Hell no. And what about the guy who recruited that guy? Talked him out of a W-2 employment. Talked him out of a salary and benefits. Talked him out of a 401k to come sell solar for nothing. Nothing, not 1 cent of guarantee, straight commission. I've had to tell you what, man, that takes a pretty darn good salesperson, and it takes somebody with a lot of guts to give that a try. And pointing the finger at the solar industry and saying the guy knocking on the door, the guy going back and doing the presentation, the person recruiting those people into the industry, the people who are doing the training, doing the leading, conducting the meetings, holding the company responsible for making sure they're delivering a good product, putting out good proposals, saying that the problem is we're selling at a price that consumers are happy about, that we're the problem. I don't think that's the problem. Let me tell you what those complaints come from. Those complaints come from it taking 9 months to install and it's still not PTO'd. That's where the complaints come from. It comes from somebody who's been recruited 3 weeks into solar, said, I don't know, 17 panels on a 5,000 square foot house. I guess, maybe I don't know better, maybe I do, I don't know. But is somebody 3 weeks into solar the final arbiter of what we install in that guy's house? Are you shitting me? You're gonna go put 17 panels on a house you know needs 50? And you're not gonna ask anybody the question, did you realize this wasn't even gonna put a dent in your electric bill? There's a lot of people not happy that they met one of us and went solar, but I don't think it's because the setter made a couple $1,000s doing his job. I don't think it's because somebody who did a presentation, somebody who's in management, somebody who has the responsibility for payroll, somebody who has the responsibility for paying people. You want to know what real leadership is in the solar industry? That's conducting yourself in such a manner and having a company that every single person gets the paycheck they think they're getting paid, not some elaborate scheme so that every check they get is 0.3 times. You know how many sales reps I've had tell me, oh, I just take my paychecks and I multiply them times 0.3 and it kind of works out. Is that a way to run a company? Is that leadership? You know how many people I've talked to have been in a solar company to sell dozens and dozens and dozens of deals and not get paid on any of them? Leadership is conducting yourself as the owners of companies in such a manner so that everybody gets paid every single Friday they're supposed to, the amount they think they're going to get paid. That's how you build a business. That's how you build a reputation. That's how you reduce turnover. Don't pay people and see how fast they turn over. Running a company that can do that like clockwork, even if you got to go into your personal savings account to make that happen, that's leadership. I've had to do that. I'm glad I did it. And by the way, I'm not some sales org up here who's pissed off that somebody attacked the sales org model and the sales org stack. I'm an installer. I'd like for what he was talking about to work. I'd like for nobody to make a dollar except for me. Unfortunately, I can't sell that much solar by myself, so I need you guys. I absolutely, positively need you guys. And yeah, are some people going to make $500,000 a year, $750,000, $1 million a year? You know why they make that much money? Well, first of all, they're the teeny tiny 1%. What do you want, a structure where the 1% can't get anywhere? The 1% should make that kind of money. The top 10% should make very good money. The top 20% will make 20% of all the money. 20% are going to make 80% of all the money. That's just the way it is. And if you're going to point at somebody who just ripped and grinded and say, you're the problem with the solar industry, well, what I'd like to say about that is I won't utter that from the stage. But I will tell you, if you point that finger out at this audience, sir, I would ask you to look and see that there's 3 fingers pointing right back at you. The problem with the solar industry is unhappy customers. They're not unhappy about a kid knocking on their door. Sometimes they're annoyed at the kid knocking at the door. We get that. The problem with the solar industry is that they thought a $200 a month payment was going to get rid of their $400 summer bill. It's not. And we were relying on somebody who's 3 weeks, 3 months into a business, who has the title of 1099, to make sure the customer understood this, to make sure they got the right information, to make sure that it was explained to them, to make sure they understood that they had to take the tax credit and apply it to the loan or the payment went up. Are you shitting me? We're going to leave that to some kid who's been in solar for 3 weeks, 3 months, whatever? I'll tell you whose that responsibility is. It's my responsibility. I'm an installer. I'm not going to put 17 panels on a 5,000 square foot house and not ask any questions. That's my responsibility. That's our responsibility. I've told people the best advice I can give you if you want to have a great career in solar and end up as grateful as I am to be able to say that is to get batshit lucky and end up in a company that understands what I'm talking about, that understands that it's the company's responsibility to make sure people are trained well, that it's the company's responsibility who's got the name on a contract, that has their name on the contract, that the contract is designing what the customer thinks it will do, and when it doesn't, takes responsibility for it and says, well, I don't know what that kid that was here 3 weeks told them. It's your job to do that. It's our job to do that. Yesterday, I wanted to puke. When I was preached at from this stage about a concept that I think comes from the Antichrist, which is righteous disruption. Man, does there some part of you that wants to think that feels good? Is there some part of you that wants to feel like it doesn't feel good, but I feel like it should feel good? Should I be excited about righteous disruption? I don't even know what the hell righteous disruption is. I'm a pretty smart guy. I couldn't even begin to explain it to you. I just know it makes me nauseated. I have a different proposal. I think it's the proposal, and I think it's the theme of this conference. I talk to Jay Kess all the time. Jay Kess tells me, okay, this is going to be a little advantageous for me to say. Jay Kess tells me, Mike, when I talk to solar sales reps, I tell them they need to go to their company. Somebody just came up to me and said, man, I'm with a great company, I'm making lots of money. I just found out because the red line's written on a wall, I could screw over my leader and make more money. I said, well, that's an interesting concept, Mike. I get that. I've been there. I've asked that question of myself before. I totally understand and get where you're coming from. But what's the value? If you're running around doing that, you know, that's you. I have been unbelievably lucky that I stuck with a company, stayed there, and did it over and over and over again and sold hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands of solar systems and got paid for every single solitary one without having to look at my paycheck to see if they paid me the right amount. You know what that allowed me to do? Spend a lot more fucking time selling solar. And so instead of this thing I can't describe, I'm going to make a proposal. Jay Kess told me, he tells sales reps as they're going around doing this, he says, you should talk to your company about their red line. And go see the guy that runs that place. I need to talk to you. I need to see you about your red line. I had a customer call me last week, and he was not all that happy because he didn't think we were coming, and we came, and not. And you should be talking about that company. I don't think you're charging me enough. I think I'm going to need you to up my red line another 5 cents. I need you to pay somebody $1 an hour more so that when they answer the phone, they don't sound like an idiot. I'm going to need you to get people in here who are competent and good and pay them a good hourly rate. I want guys that aren't wearing Motley Crue t-shirts on the roof, the solar installers. I'm going to need to talk to you about my red line. I think it's kind of absurd. I think it needs to go up by a penny or two or a nickel or so. And that's what Jay Kess gives advice to folks when they're contemplating their career in the solar industry. But I want to make a different proposal than was made here. I don't want you to repent for making money. I don't want you to question. You know what? The market will determine what the pricing will be. That's how pricing works. And if you want to be the son of a bitch who leads the race to the bottom, then that'll be your place in the market. If you want to get rid of everybody in the stack but you so someone doesn't buy solar unless they click a button, well, good luck. Have fun running that company. That ain't happening yet. Nobody's calling you to buy solar. You need that guy. When Mr. Wonderful was asked on the stage a loaded question meant to affirm the message and narrative, Mr. Wonderful said, well, no, if they call you and want solar, yeah, you probably, I don't know, $500, $750, that might make sense. But if they're going out knocking on doors, holy Christ. Cost of goods. In fact, the same person who pointed his finger at you told you that retail solar has a higher cost of goods. He told you that direct marketing and marketing online solar has a higher cost of goods. Guys, we're the cost of goods. And we're cheaper than the alternatives. More importantly, we're better at it because people respond to us and they end up with the benefits of solar. We spend millions of dollars on ads and we end up with a bunch of shitty leads. Good luck running those. So I want to make a different proposal. It's also disruptive. I happen to be the accidental benefactor of disruptive compliance. I think we should be the one telling those sons of bitches, do your job right, put up the guardrails, let's not rely on people in solar 3 weeks or 3 months, and let's make sure the customers are getting what the hell they pay for. Solar's so powerful you can't screw it up. Why are we letting frickin' 10-year-olds be the ones that should have the guardrails up? That doesn't make any sense. I just got batshit lucky. I walked into a company with a dude that had OCD. He wouldn't let me sell something unless I showed him the proposal. And the proposal had it in writing, this and this and that, and the remaining bill and all that stuff. Made me show them a video, and then made the customer sign a thing that said I showed them the video. As a sales rep, would I have voted for that? No. Would I be going, I don't think I got enough guardrails around here? No. Am I giving the salesperson off the hook for responsibility? No. Don't sell shit that you know isn't right. Don't sell without integrity. But go find a company who put that proposal together, show it to the customer, get them to sign it. That's your job. I guarantee you right now that if we had disruptive compliance, there's some big solar companies who appreciate, I don't appreciate, but they benefit from the sweat of our brow, knocking on doors, being at kitchen tables till 11 o'clock at night, and we show up with a deal with a nice bow on it, and they're like, oh, thank you very much. I don't know if we should do with this knocking on doors thing. This knocking on doors thing, I don't know, I mean, these people out there knocking on doors making money, what the hell's that? There's not one, there's not 10, there's not 100 1099 sales people, solar sales reps, who could do anything about this industry getting better because there was disruptive compliance. Nothing you could do because you're a 1099, you have no resources, and it's not your goddamn job. Your job is to take the resources, take the tools you've been given, take the bad training you've been given. Oh my God, is there some bad training in this deal? How about trying the Sunrun site survey close? It's the worst close in the history of ever. How about you don't make a decision? How about we get the paperwork done? I sign you to a 25-year contract so I can do a site survey, and then we'll come back and make the decision later. If you've been taught to sell solar that way, God damn it, stop selling solar that way. It's a stupid way to sell solar. There's only one reason you're at the kitchen table, and that reason is to help that family make a decision. And not make a decision after a site survey. Make a damn decision and make it right now. That's your job. And yeah, if I could find a way to make that remaining bill go away, would I, try to get you? Yeah. No, I don't have a way to do that. And it's not because I'm the most honest sales guy in the world. Because of all the gin joints in all the world, I came walking into valves. I don't know why that happened. I don't know why that happened. But it's enabled me to sell with integrity, to sell correctly, to make a shitload of money, and to have it work year after year after year after year after year after year. We just celebrated 10 years in business, 15,000 customers, and there's not one of them sons of bitches wants to burn our building down, and they live near us. Because they could find us and burn the building down. And so yes, the industry needs to change. We need to be more, but apparently we're going to have to be. The leadership required is us. We're going to have to go to a company and go, do you have good reviews? Last thing I want to do is work for some billion-dollar company that has 1.9 star reviews and end up with a bunch of customers that hate my guts. I'm not interested in that. I'd rather work for a small local company, a small regional company that knows what the F they're doing, that cares about them because they're their neighbor. And I don't think the customer cares if we're making $3 or $4 a watt. They care if their roof leaks. They care if we don't show up. They care if we call them because it don't work and they don't answer the phone, or they pass the buck to the 3-day-old solar, door knocker dude. Dude, your name's on the contract. I didn't get what I paid for. Yeah, what do you want me to do? I wasn't at your kitchen table. Are you shitting me? That's your answer? That's disruptive compliance. And if we got to lead the way, then let's lead the way. The person who stood on this stage and pointed at you, that guy could call a meeting and get the 3 big colossal installers and the 4 big colossal bankers who are happy as hell to have those deals presented with a bow on it by the hundreds every day, by the sweat of our brow. He could call a meeting and by Monday morning that shit could be fixed. And you know what? I'm going to nominate him. I'm going to ask you to ask him. Hey, big shot, Mr. Industry Leader, call a fucking meeting, fix this shit, and let's make sure the customer is getting what they pay for. And that's not the job of somebody who's 3 weeks in solar. That's the job of the CEO. I got one. I recommend you get one. Find yourself a CEO. You want to do well in solar? Find yourself a CEO. I found one. Batshit lucky. Found a CEO. Somebody with integrity. Somebody with ethics. Is Jens Bonnell here? Where's Jens? Where's Jens? I stole this refiner's fire from him. Are you here, Jens? I stole it. This idea is his, this refiner's fire. He shared it with me. Jens Bonnell is my personal coach. I'm going to share a couple things. Danny said I could go a couple minutes over. I'll share. I'm going to get off this stage. That or I'll just fucking go off for another 3 hours if you let me. Has the last 2 years been tough? Raise your hand if you think the last 2 years been tough. Yeah. I have a personal coach, Jens Bonnell. I pay like pretty good money to have him listen to me for 1 hour a week. Half of that money is to make me a better executive. I happen to be a gifted salesperson. Anybody here besides me think I'm a gifted sales guy? I'm a pretty gifted sales guy. Guess what I'm not? I'm not a gifted executive. I need coaching, I need training, I need all the stuff that I need to be a gifted executive. And so I have coaches, I have what I need to do that. I'm not complaining. So half the money I give him is for 30 minutes teaching me how to be a world-class executive. I need training for that. It's not a gift. The other half of the money is for two things. One, listen to me bitch about Val. Holy smokes, when you find a CEO with ethics, when you find a CEO who's rigidly committed to his values, which is the truth, and if it ain't the truth, it's not going to happen here. When you find that, it can be annoying. When you're a sales guy that, has a tendency to shoot from the hip, man, I can see that deal, man, gold ring coming at it, boom! Just had to lean over for farther than I'm allowed to get it. Whoa, gold ring, I got, So half my time of that hour a week, quarter of it is me bitching about Val. And and then because I do that, I don't have to bitch at him. That works out so much better than bitching at him. But the other quarter is listening to me go through my journey in the solar. And let me tell you, in the last 2 years, as Sun Solar Solutions decided to expand, when the titans of our industry were going out of business, when the publicly traded iconic companies of our industries were shitting the bed left and right, and we decided we're going to open up our second office. We're going to be in 2 states. I said, it's like Elon Musk driving us all to be a multi-planetary species. And we became a multi-state solar contractor. We're now in 2 states. Yeah. We open up a 3rd state, open up a 4th state. While everyone was veering off the road left and right, we were expanding and expanding and expanding because we were doing things right. Guys, to embrace compliance may sound scary, but it's going to be like a trust fall. Just trust me. Just find a CEO, find a company, find a group with integrity, and then fall. And let them catch you and keep you on the right road. As a salesperson, you might need some help with that. I know I do. But in the last 2 years, as we've been trying to grow and having banks not pay us and all this crap, and sales down, interest rates down, I've literally sat with Jens and wondered, truly wondered, is this the darkness before the darkness? Is this the darkness before the darkness? Is this 10-year journey going to end in a whisper? Am I going to get to this day where I have to say, man, we gave it a good shot, but it didn't work out. I got to go back and sell, I'll go back with Mike and sell cable TV. They can't eat you. No matter what, they can't eat you. But today could be the day. This darkness could be the darkness before the darkness, or it could be the darkness before the dawn. And a few months ago, December, January, I didn't know where to place my money as a bet. Is it the darkness before the darkness or the darkness before the dawn? There's some praying involved, some crying involved, a lot of talking to Jens Manel. And little by little, that sun's been coming up over the horizon. And the sales have been coming in, and people have been coming back that have left. And we start seeing some things that are good happening in the industry. And now I can see. That little bit of light is helping me see. And what I see is a solar gold rush 2.0. It's going to be the greatest 5 years in solar sales ever. And I want you to help me manifest this into the solar gold rush that it can be, but it's going to take leadership. And since those guys that run these goddamn companies won't lead, we're going to have to do it. Find a CEO, require them to do what needs to be done, find a deal that's going to get a customer what the hell they paid for, and then sell the shit out of it and get paid. Thank you very much, everybody. Baby, I told you I had something to say.